the 24th of August, 2026. You're welcome to this morning's edition of AM120. I would say it's a chilly morning this morning. In fact, when I stepped out, it was a little foggy. Let's know what weather is like wherever it is you're watching us from this morning. I am Oluwafunbi Bello saying welcome. Yes, you know we take you through the dailies, weather report before heading straight to our interview segment. And this morning I have the Nigerian Tribune with me on the front page. We have a story on page 22. It says Presidential Campaign Committee, ADC leaders in battle of wits. NDLEA arrests 101-year-old woman, seizes 4.4 billion naira worth of loud at Apapa Lekki Port. And that story is on page 28. When I saw that story, it was a little amusing, but not really amusing, but concerning, yes, because, I mean, when you look at that age, 101, a 101-year-old woman, it brings a lot of questions. More stories on page 20. On Oyeko Mba Osigwe, others to speak at NGE 2026 conference in Enugu. Osun government warns against fresh violence, urges post-election reconciliation, and that story is on page 30. Tinubu will earn a fresh mandate in 2027, Yari declares, and that's on page 23. Nigerians decry excessive cement price, demand explanations from manufacturers as experts pegs fair factory gate price at 7,000 to 8,000 naira. And that story is on page 6. Atiku's subsidy removal proposal, May election season declaration, and that's coming from APC National Chairman, says, I won't back down on my decision to restore targeted subsidy. And that's coming from Atiku. It now seems possible to vaccinate against cancer. That's coming from an expert that is on page 3. And heading to the top page of the Nigerian Tribune, bandits kidnap Kwara traditional ruler. That story is on page 28. Motorists gone, trucks trapped as Oyekiti Lupeju Kaba Road collapses. Federal government to flag off Ibadan Ijebode Road dualization today, and that story is on pages 3 and 30. And lastly, on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune is a sad story, and of course the entertainment industry has been put is in mourning again. Nollywood Ogun government mourn as Ogogo dies of cancer at 66, to be buried today in Ilaro, and that story is on page 29. It was indeed an unfortunate news that broke out yesterday after a battle with stage 4 cancer. We say may his soul rest in peace. There are more stories on the inside pages of the Nigerian Tribune this morning. On page 3, motorists grown, trucks trapped as Oyekiti Lupeju Kaba Road collapses. FRSC orders diversion of traffic. It now seems possible to vaccinate against cancer. Moderna breakthrough could usher in wave of cancer vaccines. And that's on page 3. More stories. Businesses urged to position sustainability as risk management tool. And that's on business and economy on page 6 and page 7. Reforms, purchasing power, businesses still under pressure. And that's coming from the Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprise, CPPE, telling the federal government cautions against policy reversal. How Nigerian investors balanced stocks, fixed income assets in H1 2026, edge foreign counterparts with record 87.9 share. Bad road, Osubi Lagos flight ticket cost soars as travelers switch to air transport. And that's all on business and economy. Ondo Assembly crisis, impeachment of Ola DG Stores as APC mediates. Status quo remains as APC leadership seeks truce. And that's on page 24. Why 500 Northern Islamic scholars, preachers endorse Tinubu. And that's according to the Minister of Housing and Urban Development, Mustafa Dama. Nigeria's economy won't benefit from continuation of Tinubu's policies. And that's coming from Duke. Yari will deliver APC historic victory. That's coming from Shinkafi. And more stories on crime. NDLEA arrests 101-year-old woman, intercepts cocaine in Fufu. Scores feared killed as terrorists attack, abduct worshippers in Niger communities. Troops kill suspected kidnapper, arrest 2 in Benue. Storm IPOESN stronghold in Anambra, recover weapons, IED materials. We'll be back after this commercial break. Stay with us.
This award goes to the most punctual student of the entire school. And the winner is Lisa Solomon.
Company is telling me that she makes her daughter skip breakfast just to be here. You people could have just asked. I would have been happy to tell you my secret.
Enjoy instant goodness with John Vent's 3-in-1 chocolate. The quickest start to your morning.
Super Malt Multivitamin Active Teens. Super Malt Multivitamin Active Teens. Shine on.
When malaria knocks you down, you can be sure parasites are having a party in your system.
Welcome to New Kingdom, guys!
Comel, an effective weapon against malaria. Attacking the parasite army directly to give you express relief and get you back on your feet effectively. Comel on. Malaria gone.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Yes, we're still on the newspaper review this morning. More stories on page 28 of the Nigerian Tribune. 5 arrested over vandalism of telecommunication poles, cables in Lagos. Bandits kidnap Kwara monarch. And more stories, Nollywood mourns as veteran actor Taiwazan Ogogo dies after battle with cancer. His death, a monumental loss, and that's coming from Ogun State government, to be buried today in Ilaro. Buratai defends Nigeria's sovereignty over 33-year-old allegation against Tinubu. Federal government backs private investment in robotic surgery, targets medical tourism reversal. Federal government flags off Ibadan Ijebode road dollarization today. Osun government warns against fresh violence, urges post-election reconciliation. Federal government releases new operational guidelines for WAEC, NECO students' assessment scores. Nigeria cannot become a killing field. And that's coming from Peter Obi. And on the back page where we have some sports stories. Ex-EPL ref hails Aina's yellow card decision. Don't sell Osimhen, Gala warned. Football is my life, says Okoye. Ajayi confirmed for Gal Athletics. Kane sets record in Germany. And that's all we have on the Nigerian Tribune this morning. Heading over to the Vanguard newspaper. On the front page, we have a story on page 11. It says Nigeria's oil output drops by 20.8% in 10 years. Nigeria's influence within OPEC declines. We are committed to optimizing output, and that's coming from Renaissance. Any bad omen requiring urgent steps, according to experts. Fuel subsidy return to old regime will worsen economic crises. Information Minister Idris. That story is on page 40. Onoyeko Mba Osigwe, Yadudu, others to speak at Nigeria Guild of Editors Conference in Enugu, September 24 and 25. And that story is on page 9. Insecurity and this madness once and for all. Obi tasks federal government. That's on page 8. How 23 stocks beat inflation. 6 coins didn't declare dividend. 7 coins record negative return on equity. And that story is on page 10. NDLEA nabs 101-year-old great-grandmother, intercepts cocaine in fufu. And that's on page 6. SGF mom as fake agency boss fires back. That's on page 5. We're seeing a lot of reaction from that end. And of course, more fake agencies were uncovered late last week. More stories on page 43. Ranching, federal government will enforce policy on Benue. That's coming from Governor Alia. And lastly, on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning, Sokoto terror attack, hunger, trauma grip 7 communities. And that's on page 7. That's all we have on the front page of the Vanguard newspaper this morning. Moving on to the back page where we have some sports stories. AFCON 2027, Chell eyes 4 non-regulars for invites. Mikel, everybody in NFF must go. Iwobi Bassey plots Chelsea fall at Craven Cottage. DSS probes NFF. Falconets set up World Cup camp in Poland. The Tigers suffer heavy defeat to Belgium in World Cup 1. AFCON 2027, Chell eyes 4 non-regulars for Eagles. And lastly, we have Fulham versus Chelsea. Iwobi Bassey plot Chelsea's fall at Craven Cottage. And that's all we have on the Vanguard newspaper review. And talking of a newspaper review this morning, that's all we have for you. We'll be right back after this weather report. Stay with us.
Excuse me, ma. It's your 100% money.
Babes, are you sure you want to spend this much on hair?
Since your landlord just increased rent, I save for this one separately on money points. No, you say you save on money points? Yes. This madam money points here, the array of your is charging savings money points I used to have it. The rest of this my sub is this savings money points I used to do it. The array of this my staff is save as you transact.
Jennifer, money point save as you transact. Money point fixed savings and money point target savings.
Why did I tell you not contribute to it? What she say? Come on, oh, you go give your money to Hadaku to say. You see money point accounts there. You don't go open a savings account. Now Hadaku you should. I beg everybody inside this myself. Oh, you bring out your phone and download the money point app now. Even you. What are you waiting for? Download the money point banking app now. And that's saving the bank you can trust.
Money Point, made for your progress.
Confidence is important in life's little moments. Strong teeth can help, even if they get her into trouble sometimes. A great smile is useful to break the ice, and making friends is easier when you know you have fresh breath. I give my family confidence with Pepsodent Triple Protection 123. Its antibacterial action formula gives them cavity protection, white teeth, and fresh breath. The confidence of 3 toothpaste in 1. Pepsodent Triple Protection 123.
Win big in the Milo Text and Win promo. Yes, 6 brand new cars, along with billions in airtime and cash prizes around the grabs. Just buy any 20-gram Milo promo sachet, find a unique code inside, then dial *8011*4#. Or scan the QR code on the pack for a chance to win big. Buy more, win more. Promo starts July 1st to October. Milo.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Yes, it's still AM120, and this morning we will be talking economy, talking about the 15.8 trillion naira subsidy removal, the gains from that particular figure we've heard so far. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Taiwo Oyedele, has revealed that the removal of fuel subsidies and the unification of the foreign exchange market mobilized 15.8 trillion naira in extra resources for the Federation, providing a critical financial lifeline that enabled states to clear salary backlogs. The report was unveiled during a high-level media briefing hosted at the Federal Ministry of Finance in Abuja last week. Presenting the figures, Oyedele explained that the funds accumulated between June 2023 and December 2025, with the federal government receiving 5.4 trillion naira, while state and local governments shared 10.4 trillion. Clarifying how the revenue was tracked, the minister explained that the savings did not appear as a direct payout labeled subsidy removal. Instead, they manifested through increased naira collections from customs duties, petroleum profit taxes, and exchange rate adjustments, where dollar-denominated receipts translated into higher local values. To do justice to this conversation this morning, we have an economist in the house this morning. He is Professor Praise Akinwande. Prof, good morning.
It's my pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you this morning.
Again this morning. Thank you very much.
Talking about the 15.8 trillion subsidy removal gains that was disclosed last week by the federal government, what exactly does this figure translate to? What does it represent? Let's start from there.
Yes, good morning, Nigerians, and everybody watching us all over the world. Yes, even from your introductory note, I've listened to it very carefully. The figure disclosed, it's not a physical cash, as it were, that anybody can say, okay, this is what we have gathered in liquidity from as a result of fuel subsidy removal. I'm going to answer that question from 2 perspectives. Number one is, why is that kind of revelation coming at this time when we're very, very close to the 2027 elections. So a critical analysis, we look at that statement as a way to buy favor from the present government of the land. That's number one. Number two, this excesses of gain, as it were, is as a result of what the government or the expenses ordinarily that would have gone into the payment of subsidy removal if the policy was sustained in the first instance. It is very, very important to know and to understand that every government will always launch fiscal policies which will be a way to stabilize the economy. And so when this administration came in 2023, May 2023 to be precise, and His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu made a clear declaration that officially there's going to be a removal for subsidy. Then what that means is the money. So let's talk in terms of let's come to let's come down to the level of an average person listening to us. So the money that ought to have been used to service subsidy, okay, over the period of time is what the minister is trying to announce to Nigerians to see. That, okay, this and this and this and this would have gone into so many indices, as you have mentioned in your introductory message, custom duties,
increased naira collection for custom duties, petroleum profit taxes, and exchange rate adjustment.
All this come together is what has helped the government to gather that amount that was projected, and that was not even not a projection in this instance now, that was declared. But the truth of the matter is that has every Nigerian felt the impulse of that gain, so to speak?
Before we come to how an average Nigerian should feel, or what an average Nigeria is going through right now, based on the money we are seeing, you mentioned something at the beginning of your talk. You said, why is it now, when it's tilting towards the general elections, 2027 is fast approaching, and we are seeing this revelation? Now, are you saying it's coming too late? Because, of course, if we do not hear things like this, Nigerians have been asking this question for a long time. Subsidy removal, subsidy has been removed. Where is the money going? Where has the money been? What has it been used for? Now, the federal government has come on to tell us what the amount that has been generated from the subsidy between 2023 and December 2025. But you seem not to be pleased with such revelation. Are you saying the revelation shouldn't have come at all, or it's coming rather too late?
Well, in August 2026. So, and we're telling us what you have gathered together from 2023 to December 2025. So why waiting till August 2026 before you make that revelation? You see, for somebody who is in the public view and you're a public person, one thing you need to understand is that Nigeria is a country of diversities. And so, if you wake up from the far corner of your room and you just felt I want to make an announcement, you should not assume that announcement will be embraced and interpreted just the way you felt it. As of many people will definitely take that word and digest it and interpret it in various ways. Unfortunately, you won't be able to stand to explain to everyone what you meant. So we have people who have political analysts who look at it and said, why now? Are you trying to give us a statement that will make the people to look towards the present government in favor? So, and that is why I said it is a revolution that ought to have come not at this time. That's number one. It is something, you know, when you have an open ear to a particular event and you want to hear a feedback, or you want to get an explanation for something, and you have waited and nothing seems forthcoming, you just lose interest. Nigerians have been asking questions. They want to know. And this time around, we want to hear not from a politician, we want to hear from a professional. So, and the minister, the Honorable Minister of Finance, is in the best position to explain to Nigerians everything we need to know about subsidy.
Which he has done.
But the question is, has he done it at the right time? To me, I don't seem to agree.
Okay, looking at what these monies have been stated to have been used for, are we going to say they are good indicators? Have they been used well? I also remember hearing the minister speak. And in fact, the president mentioned it also, that about 27 states before the president assumed office could not even pay salaries. But now, no states, according to the president and the minister, is owing salary, or no state can say they are unable to pay salaries. Are these good indicators to tell us to have channeled this money into, considering the fact that a lot of Nigerians are saying we are not even seeing physical advantage of what this money has been used for?
The federal government said between 2023 up till now, they have distributed 10.4 trillion out of these SSCs, this money we are talking about, to state and local government. I got an interview just this last week on a radio program in Lagos. And I said something very, very critical and germane. You see, as beautiful as first subsidy would have been, I am one of the people that really I threw my weight to first subsidy when you look at it from economic perspective and the merit and the demerits. So if you put everything side by side, yes, the government meant well. But the question is, the Yorubas we say, probably means to say this in Yoruba, and I'm going to interpret it. I'll just try to explain. The Yorubas we say, "Ayan yajadun." Now, if you smoke or you dry a dog meat, it's sweet. But if you slaughter your dog and you put everything to be dried or smoked, are you going to go on hunger strike before you eventually get your desired meat? It doesn't work that way. You see, one major thing is that this government, I don't think this government has done well, is to be able to allow the economic hardship that these policies or this policy would have caused on an average Nigerian to have an holistic compensation, an holistic cushion effect on people. But it's not. Now, and the reason is this. One of the major problems that has eaten deep into every system in this country is corruption. And the cause of the corruption that is on the land has not made has not really brought in the advantage on the table of a poor Nigerian. Yes, governors had access to SSs. And I remember there was a time, I can't quote this one now because I didn't hear it directly from the president. Somebody said the president made a statement that your state governors have a lot of money, and if there is no activity, if there is no meaningful development in your state, question your governors. So that means they have access to money. But have we really seen the effect on the road? No. And the reason is because of corruption. The channels, the various channels by which these SSs and this game should use to get into the hand of common Nigerians that will make them to feel it is our money, is our gain, and a poor man in a village, in a remote local government should have that feel, but it's not.
How can they have the feel?
There are two ways to it. Number one, we need to, I've not seen a government that really want to fight corruption genuinely, honestly. Because if somebody is a thief and arrested, tried, and legally condemned that with evidences that he stole public funds, he shouldn't walk freely on the street. And the system must be able to label you permanently as a default. But that's not in our system. So if I'm a public officer and I know that if I invest, come to look at other countries of the world that the economy is working. What is making the economy to work is that once you are caught, investigated, and find out that you are liable to financial malpractices, some country will go at an extent of even executing you. So it will make you to think twice before you do that. But we don't have a judicial process, we don't have a judicial system where this can be fully implemented. So it will, let me just say, it is inherent almost in every typical Nigerians and almost in every system. If somebody gives me money to give you, and there is no way you will have access to the sender, I can begin to think twice and say, why would this person have this kind of money? I can easily blow face and I just pocket it and nothing's going to happen. And I will be looking at you suffering. And I'll be smiling. Or I may eventually now even just a little and insignificant fraction out of that money and give to you. What is your right? I'm trying to position myself that I'm doing you a favor. But in the system, really has clearly indicated that if I am found guilty, and I can see many people that such and such has been done to, I'm going to think twice. That's one. The second reason why people will not feel it, or why people will say how they can feel it, if we look into our system, is that the government should be transparent enough. One thing I don't really appreciate about not even this present government, okay, since the advent of democracy in Nigeria, is that when the government launches a policy, they don't follow up. There's no proper follow-up. We want to do this, everybody hears it on the radio, we watch it on television, we see it on social media, but it dies from the announcement. There are no proper apparatus to monitoring.
Now, for this policy, the subsidy removal policy you're talking about, what follow-up do you think the federal government should have gone through with in terms of the subsidy removal?
Okay, whatever. Because let me say this. The government said we are putting so much of first subsidy that is not logical. And so at the end of the day, this is the argument of the government. What we eventually say, what you think that we are helping you by subsidizing for petroleum products is going to have a futuristic effect on you and the coming generation, because we are surviving to pay this money and it's affecting other sectors of the economy. Let's quickly remove it so that the resources that we are using for the subsidy can be used to develop the economy.
But we really seeing that in the economy, considering the fact that was why the subsidy was removed in the first place. Number one, to cut corruption. Number two, using the money for major basic things that would help the citizens. Are we really seeing that happen?
That is the problem. How come in there? You asked me a question, how does the government, follow up? And I said, government has a lot of channels to disseminate information. Now let me use the example I used earlier on. If somebody gives me now certain amount of money to give you, and I know that there will be an announcement which will give you a propensity to know that have been sent to you, will I spend it? Because I know that once I spend it, you will have questions. Nigerians are good at asking questions. And one thing you should understand, and one thing I appreciate about Nigerians is that we are propagandists. We are propagandists. Okay? There is a way rumor spreads so fast. And at the same time, the way rumor spread, that is the way news will spread. So if the government uses the channels at our disposal properly, that whatever you do, you make an announcement, and you make that announcement intentionally. Of course, everybody will understand that, this is what the government has been. Sometimes, I think during President Obasanjo's administration, I can't even remember now, every month, there is always a publication from the federal government of the allocation that is given to every state. I think President Obasanjo started it. So we know, if it is something that is published, there is a particular date of the month that you will see the publication. So no governor can tell me no, that I can't pay my staff salary, I can't pay you because the government has not released the allocation, the federal allocation. No. Okay, that's not true, because we have already seen it in the publication. That's one of the machineries the government can adopt and use. Listen, information is very, very critical, germane in the running of a transparent government. And the government should use it.
So are you saying the government is not giving Nigerians much information to work with, to hold? And is that why corruption is thriving?
You see, corruption is not thriving because there is no proper information. Corruption is thriving because there is no proper discipline. There is no proper discipline. I am looking towards in Nigeria where a proper and due diligence, a proper judicial process, critical judicial process, holistic judicial process will be done on whosoever is found guilty to have stolen public fund. You see, if you have access to public fund and you steal it, I call you the big thief. You are worse than somebody who has gone to a thief that has gone to the neighbor's shop to bag or smuggle, is gari or rice. Thief is thief. Okay, but if you have access to government money that is meant for people, for the general populace, and you pocket it, you are the big thief. The same way an ordinary thief on the road should be treated. It's the same way it should be treated.
All right, Prof, let's look at what Nigeria was before subsidy was removed and now after subsidy removal. Are we going to say, because the president has said there is no going back on the subsidy removal, we are not bringing it back, or his administration will not bring back the subsidy. But looking at how Nigeria was and now, are we better off? Before you answer that question, we have a commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Win big in the Milo Text and Win promo. Yes, 6 brand new cars, along with billions in airtime and cash prizes are up for grabs. Just buy any 20-gram Milo promo sachet, find a unique code inside, then dial *8011*4#. Or scan the QR code on the pack for a chance to win big. Buy more, win more. Promo starts July 1st to October. Milo.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. We're talking about the 15.8 trillion naira subsidy removal gains. And Prof, before I went on that break, I was asking, looking back at what Nigeria was before, when we had subsidy and after subsidy was removed, do you think there is any better in terms of the infrastructure, in terms of the outlook of Nigerians, the livelihood, how Nigerians have been surviving? Do you think we're better off without the subsidy?
Thank you very much. There have been poverty even before this removal of the first subsidy, and the poverty is still lingering. Now, there have been hunger, and there have been economic degradation before the fuel subsidy saga started in 2023. At the same time, there have never been satisfactory basic amenities around for everybody to see. And there is no visible difference, even now, that we say we have removed the subsidy. There is no visible, I don't see much or significant differences that can make an average person on the road and beat his chest that, thank God, when this first subsidy was removed, we thought heaven will fall. But we can now see from the view of the presidency that it was a good decision for Nigerians. No, nothing visible. So when you now put subsidy, when subsidy was standing and when subsidy was removed, and if you put it side by side, you don't have anything meaningful that you can use as a way to convince an average Nigerian. But let me say this. In economics, um, 0.0001 increase is significant. So we don't shy away from the fact that a slight positive result is a good indicator. And at the same time, a slight negative result is an indicator to something, because that is something, that is a factor that must have gingered it either in the positive direction or negative direction.
But why?
But that doesn't make sense to a market woman.
And it feels like it's not really significant.
In a job market.
And it feels like it's not really significant. So why is that? Because when we look at, and of course we've been hearing about how the economy has been increasing, praises have been sung, and a lot of people have been commending the president, the federal government, saying, oh, some policies have been working, making the economy great and all, but it feels like an average Nigerian is not feeling it. Now, why is this so? Why does it feel like the little significance we are seeing in the economy is not translating to the livelihoods, to what an average Nigerian should see or would want to see?
That is our system. That's why we have a problem. Let me give you, let me say I am in classroom now, and I want to give my students a very good and practical example. Okay, this is a bucket. And you're putting water in that bucket. And you're drawing water, a glass of water from a source. And you're saying, this water, I'm giving you this cup of water, drink everything. But if you drink everything, this source may dry up, or there can be a problem. So instead of you drinking everything, let me reserve some for you in this bucket as a reserve. Okay? Yes, you have my interest at heart. And from that cup, you are helping me to conserve some volume of water in a bucket. I'm saying that as you are dropping a drop here and there, that is consistent with increasing the volume of the water. Yes, and that is the little indicators in economics. If it's consistent and is dropping, it's making sense. And there must be consistency. There must be continuity. Me, that you are driving me of my benefit. I am seeing it. But what you are driving me off, I'm seeing is increasing. It's my own. And I'm going to get access to it in the nearest future. But the system now created a loophole. As the stream is increasing, somebody is removing it. Somebody is removing it.
And that's the corruption we're talking about.
Yes, that is the system. It's removing it. At the end of the day, what is my hope? What is my hope? So it is better you allow me to even drink everything. So if it finishes, I know that I'm going to starve.
It feels like Nigerians are also encouraging this habit. It feels like Nigerians are maybe complacent in what we are seeing, the state of economy of Nigeria. But how can Nigerians rise to occasion? Now, you mentioned that during former President Obasanjo's tenure, he used to publish allocations to states on a monthly basis. We're not seeing that anymore. How can we begin to call for that? How can we begin? Because when information like this are being published, Nigerians can see the allocation, state allocations. They can hold each state accountable. They can see the local government allocations assigned to local government. They can hold their local government chairman accountable. How can Nigerians begin to stand up to occasions like this?
Yes, you see, it's the to answer that question, can you see that it's taking me time? Because I'm part of the process. In my own little way, I should ask myself, even me that I'm talking, what is in my own little estate, in my own little corridor of responsibility and power, what am I doing? Let me say this to you. The system, Nigeria has, unfortunately, we have a lot of things that we have a lot of things that pose danger that we easily ignored. We just ignore. And it's definitely going to pose danger at us if left unchecked. So when you I'm a field person. So when you enter into the field, you go to the market, you visit offices, you go to agencies, go to small, medium enterprises, and then you see that almost everybody, the whole thing is clumpsing up. So it's like all of us run a race. The one that is smarter, the one that has correct connection, the one that is not dubious, we definitely win the race.
All right, Prof, we'll have a commercial break, and when we return, you continue on that note. Please stay with us.
It is important in life's little moments. Strong tea can help, even if they get her into trouble sometimes. A great smile is useful to break the ice, and making friends is easier when you know you have fresh breath. I give my family confidence with Pepsodent Triple Protection 123. Its antibacterial action formula gives them cavity protection, white teeth, and fresh breath. The confidence of 3 toothpaste in 1. Pepsodent Triple Protection 123.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us. Prof, before we went on that break, you were talking about how Nigerians can hold our leaders accountable.
Because you see, let me say this again as a compliment to the statement I made before we went on break. You see, if you look at the rate at which Nigerians, have lost interest in government, it's alarming, and that's dangerous. People still don't want to even. They don't want to be interested in the government. Yes, they don't want to be interested in what the government is saying to them, because they look at them as bulk of thieves who you find your way in power, and what you are just going there to do is to steal our money and then duplicate yourself. You are hold, and you bring in your family, you bring in your children to continue from from where you stopped. So every Nigerians, they know that. So the thing is that if you stand to talk government, the first thing that comes into their mind is that where's our share? So government is not popular. Government reforms, government programs are not popular. And I can tell you, it has windowed into the present political dispensation. We're not going to talk politics, we are talking government. We are talking economics. But you see, there can never be a robust economy, okay, where politics and government has lost popularity. Because economy thrives on people. No matter the kind of economical policies, you use the people, okay, as a specimen to test the indicators, the projected hypothesis of all your economic reforms. So I think these people are not interested in what you are trying to do. It's dangerous. So you won't be able to get an accurate result to know if what we are doing is actually right or not. But the people are not interested because they are disappointed. Everybody is disappointed. Now look at Nigeria. A lot of things that visibly should be working without any stress. Insecurity, problem. Energy, electricity, voila. Going on network, problem. So now, but if you look at the Maslow hierarchy of needs, I give this analysis in an interview I granted last week. Do you know that as beautiful as this country is, if the government should understand the mindset of the teeming population of Nigeria, honestly, this country will be the best place to live in. The highest percentage of people in Nigeria are not interested to live in your banana island.
You think so?
Yes. They don't want to live because that is where I come from.
But don't you think the mindset of Nigerians, they say the government is a result of who the people are. What we are seeing in the government is a result of who the people are.
Let me tell you something. Inherent in any human being, okay? No human being that is hungry will think of buying a 70 million car. That's not his problem.
That's not priority.
No. You see, the Yorubas in their philosophy say, when you remove hunger, okay, from the life of a man, you have dealt with poverty. No, so a government that cannot feed and provide corridors for its citizens to be fed well, to have access to cheap food, is a failed government. Now, when that is done, basically, it is somebody that has eaten and is fed up. That cannot not be thinking of, I want to get, I think this house that I'm living in is not good enough. I want to change my address. This place, I think we need to have fence around my house. That is when you now begin to think. The basic need of everybody is food, shelter, and clothing. And when we talk about shelter, that is another area where we talk about shelter is access to basic health facilities. But these things are not there. And the federal government will say in its programs, we are doing this, we are doing that. Just probably sometimes we hear news of what the government has done that nobody even felt in the first instance.
Prof, so are you saying, or based on the argument, and there's been a lot of debates, I mean, also back and forth between the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and the President talking about bringing back fuel subsidy or not, and of course, how the lives of an average Nigeria has gone from bad to worse since the subsidy was removed. Are you saying bringing back subsidy would increase the livelihood of Nigeria, or would better the lives of Nigerians?
No. We don't have problem with fuel subsidy.
Okay.
We have problem with our system.
Talking of the system, yes, I know you mentioned it earlier, but when we talk about the system, how do you think the system should operate going forward? Or how do you think if the system operates in a certain way, it helps the economy?
Let me use China as a very good example. As a student of economics, I don't know, maybe you've read economics in secondary school. Were you a science student or a social science student?
I was an art student, but of course, I did economics.
Oh, no wonder you are a communicator. Good. And you are doing well.
Thank you very much.
Now, in economics, we were taught in economics Green Hall, okay, to understand the facts how a country operates. Where we are today, what do we do? Or how do we make the system to work, and how do we make the system to run? Is that not your question? If I get your question very, very well. Okay, good. Where we are today, we didn't just get there in a day. And we can't live there in a day. I was citing an example of China. While we were in school, we were taught that China is a third world country. But suddenly they emerged as though they have become a global player today. What was the magic? Was it prayer? What was the magic? If the same God who reigns and runs in the affairs of China is the same God who is interested, and even we have better advantage in Nigeria. But the first and the most important thing is that we need to look within ourselves and create a measure that will checkmate whatsoever is a virus in the system. So if that measure is put in place, before you say anything twice. Now, if there is an adverse penalty or whatsoever, now President Obasanjo tried to checkmate corruption by launching EFCC and ICPC, but unfortunately it has not achieved the purpose, because we have seen a lot of Nigerians, politicians, okay, government officials that were arrested, tried. What is the aftermath? They are still part and parcel of us, living with us, and still enjoying gobs of money they have stolen. Yes, few were collected. Well, how did you see the effect of all those money collected in the first instance? And you still sit down around, So, how do you think when you have that kind of a system, everybody will not be a thief? And that is the first thing the government that can fix our system with corruption, we are 50% done to stabilize our economy. Honestly. But we are not there.
You said we are 50%
solved. We are 50% done to stabilize our economy.
So at the moment, the policies we have, the economic policies we have, are you saying they're on the right track to stabilize our economy?
Good, thank you very much. Our president was trained as an accountant. That's one. This administration has tried. I'm not going to say maybe, but has tried in my own analysis to have put in professionals, experienced people, invited them to run the affairs of government alongside with the government. And I can say most of the policies, economic policies, it's not only in economics, and we have electoral policies, and we have so many policies that have been put in place by the government. They are very, very good to help Nigeria to salvage this country, to rescue the country from collapsing economically. Yes, honestly. But if you have a beautiful program and you don't have beautiful delivery machineries, that program will crash land.
So what should the delivery machinery, what should it have been? Or how should it have been carried out?
Of course, yes. We have mentioned it, and we have spoken about it even indirectly during the course of this conversation. Okay? It starts with looking at the prevailing system. You see, one thing that is very, very germane, which you need to understand, is the mind of people. So if you want to launching a policy, for example, that will ginger a counter reaction, one of the things you need to do first and foremost is to properly educate the people and change their mindset. First subsidy removal didn't start with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Goodluck Jonathan tried it, and there was a counter reaction as we mellowed down. And all through the time he ran his administration, by the time President Muhammadu Buhari came of blessed memory, he met a lot of problems on ground. And then, to now, he was even looking at first subsidy and said, okay, from the past administration, my predecessor was trying to, so let's look at it and look into it and see if we can remove it. He wanted to try it, but unfortunately, the COVID-19, you know, that's really affected economical perspective of, it became a global phenomenon, and it affected the crude oil exportation. And so it mellowed down. So by the time we survived from the COVID-19 epidemic, it wasn't even a policy that you should even look into at all until it just mellowed down and did some little value as far as first subsidy is concerned. I don't want to go into that now. And when President Tinubu came, that was his first announcement at his inauguration. Conversely, I would have thought the government would have properly, we are coming from somewhere, we have a mindset. So the government would have properly oriented us to change our mindset. The way a man thinks is the way he is. And so whatever I say is an embodiment of what is in my heart. So if you don't change my mindset, my thought view about a particular issue, if you launch it, I will react. And then these are the part of what I think the government ought to have done. The removal of first subsidy is not an immediate, urgent economic reform that you just do haphazardly like that. It's something that is futuristic. It's going to have a long-term effect.
So it shouldn't have been removed when
we should have taken our time. What we're supposed to have done is properly orientate the people. Number one, part of the argument of the government is that there are some people who are unnecessarily siphoning some of this money into their pocket. Mention names, expose them. Let's know that what I'm trying to do, this and this and this, and bring out figures. Let's note our enemies. Let's see our enemies. So we'll be able to say, okay, what this government wants to do is in our interest. We will be the one, having been orientated, we will be the one to make that policy popular. So in my neighborhood, if you ask my neighbor is complaining, God, the president in Nassau Rock will not know the conversation that is happening between me and my neighbor, but I can easily say, Yataju, the government meant well for us. And they will explain. And it will have been a beautiful program.
So Prof, looking at the 15.8 trillion naira that have been realized so far from the subsidy removal, are you saying, or are there better ways the money could have also been realized without completely removing subsidy?
Now, I said at the beginning of this conversation, this money was not what was saved.
Yes, of course, no one was saved, but it was mentioned that we could see it in some aspects in the economy, states, and of course other government parastatals like the customs that was mentioned. But are there other ways this money could have been generated and spread to these bodies that generate that benefited from this money?
You see, I don't think so. But there may be some ways we can generate it.
Are we using our resources well in Nigeria?
But you see, the problem is that the mainstay of Nigerian economy is petroleum, is crude oil. So, and that is the mainstay of our economy. And all eyes are on the crude oil. And so, whatever comes in form of a profit, quote and unquote, from petroleum becomes the matter. So this money, I think 15.8 trillion that was announced as gain from subsidy removal, it definitely there is no other sector of the economy that would have provided that much within this projected number of years between 2023 to 2025. That is less than 2 years. Massive. That's a problem. But the government can look at other sectors of economy, strengthen other sectors of economy to thrive. And so when other sectors of economy thrives, then we can. But it's not happening. It's not. Then I think you now have, how do we, I've forgotten the question you asked me.
What are those things we see, we need to start seeing? Especially when we talk about the allocation, looking at how the money was also spread across the federal government, states. The federal government got 5.3 trillion naira, state government 6.52 trillion naira, and local government 3.88 trillion naira. Now, when we look at the way the arms of government got these monies, and citizens are still talking about how they are not seeing significance or how they are benefiting, what should Nigerians do?
Let's use your state of this money we are talking about, where there is no local government autonomy. How? Okay, you said this is how much that is given to local government. Now, local governments in Oyo State, do they have access to that resources? No.
And this is not just Oyo State alone now. We have a lot of states in Nigeria. And the issue of the local government autonomy, like we had a guest sometimes last week, we had a similar conversation on this issue, and he mentioned how he was able to question his local government, when allocations are being made and they're not getting it. Now, should Nigerians begin to rise up, ask questions, point fingers, fish people out if necessary?
Of course, we know that local governments are not, they don't have access to their resources. They operate a joint allocation. So their money comes into the confinement of the state government. And so the local government submit budgets on a monthly basis to the state government, and they release, okay, you want to pay salary, you want to do this, okay, take. And because the local government chairman is the boy of the governor, what does he has to dance.
Now, are you saying when local governments are completely autonomous, they can do better? Or
local government is closer to the people, okay? All they're responsible. It's easier to get a local government chairman. You can easily drive into a local government secretariat now, okay? And they say, Alagawa, what are you doing? Look at all our roads. Look at this, what are the allocations they are giving you, what are you using to do? We can easily bring them to book. So let the state leave them alone. To breathe. To have to be in control of we have done it before. In my school days, even during military regime, when we normally conduct the only tier of government where you have a full demonstration of democracy was local government. They run their elections, and meaningful development we had in our municipals was because the local government was working. They built roads, and there was a robust economical celebration.
Can we see a return to that time?
It can happen. The president has leave this local government alone. Let them breathe. Let them have access to their money. And But in a situation where every state want to, there is no proper electoral process for the emergence of local government chairmen across board, it becomes a problem.
All right, Prof, as we begin to wind down this segment this morning, should we be looking at other concepts of these on the citizens?
The president is busy with contesting and winning his elections for now. So I'm not saying...
So are you saying because of that, the wealth of Nigerians should stay on hold?
No, it's a status quo. You shouldn't expect anything different from what has been what has been on.